can appreciate that. You can tell that he spends time in the gym. You tell that he has serious coaches and he's taking this craft serious. He ain't just getting in there and people like, oh, it's just.
He's a YouTuber. No, he ain't.
No.
He's a boxer. Jake Paul's a millionaire. Jake Paul's not training at the local YMCA. He's got real coaches on salary.
He got real
He's
coaches.
got high-level coaches.
Yes.
And he lives to box now.
Yes.
He's been boxing seriously now, so he should be able to compete.
Andy Ruiz stunned everyone when he revealed that one simple punch he believes could flip the entire Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul matchup on its head.
What's the one best thing that you pride Jake Paul of having that maybe you haven't seen in other competition you face so far?
From a physical aspect, I couldn't even mention it at the minute. But from a mental aspect, he offered me to fight. Normally, I'm offering people fights. He's told me, come and fight. So he believes in himself.
For weeks, the majority of fans, analysts, and former fighters had dismissed Jake Paul's chances against Anthony Joshua, and it wasn't hard to see why. Jake was heading into a December 19 showdown with a man who not only towered over him in size, reach, and professional history, but had also spent more time than a decade fighting and often defeating world-class heavyweights. The difference in experience alone looked impossible to ignore. On top of that, Jake had been preparing for someone completely different before the matchup changed. He originally trained for Gervonta Davis, a fighter compared to Joshua is practically half the size. Switching from planning for a small, explosive lightweight to an Olympic gold medalist heavyweight on short notice immediately placed Jake in an even tougher spot.
First of all, kudos to Jake Paul. The cojones this mother has. From a Disney kid to YouTube to he can fight anyone and get views and make fun. This crazy wild boy sends out the bat signal, the British bat signal for Anthony and Joshua. You know how crazy that is? I will say this. I don't think any of Jake Paul's fights are fixed in any capacity at all. Not even close. I don't get down that narrative. I will say this though. My spidey senses will go off if Anthony Joshua doesn't absolutely mop the floor with him.
Still, Jake refused to back down. Every interview he gave made it clear he believed Joshua's chin was something he could exploit. He pointed to the right hand he once used to knock Tyron Woodley unconscious and insisted that the same kind of shot could trouble Joshua just as badly. While many laughed at the idea, there was no denying that Joshua had been stopped before. His latest knockout loss had come at the hands of Daniel Dubois in September 2024, and before that, Ruiz himself had introduced him to defeat back in June 2019. That night, Ruiz produced one of the most shocking results in modern boxing by dropping Joshua multiple times and finishing him in the 7th round. Joshua, who had appeared unbeatable up until that moment, had gone from overwhelming favorite to a stunned and confused challenger in a matter of minutes. Years later, Ruiz found himself watching Jake Paul attempt to climb a mountain even taller than the one he once conquered. When speaking with TMZ in an interview, Ruiz didn't dance around the reality that Jake's window of success would come down to landing a powerful right hand. Ruiz believed Jake was committed, disciplined, and underestimated more than he deserved, and he even mentioned he planned to reach out privately to offer him a few extra details on how to deal with Joshua's strengths and weaknesses.
What advice would you give to him, like, technically?
I think just having faith, man. Having faith, don't be scared, and do what you gotta do, you know? Ask God for that victory, and He will come through, and just be fearless, you know? That's what you gotta do. You gotta be fearless and give it all you got, you know?
Any secret to, like, you know, boxing a guy like
Just
like
get
Joshua?
him with the right hand. That's what Jake Paul's looking for, the right hand. And if he lands, he could do good damage. So a lot of people underestimate Jake Paul, but in reality, he's a good fighter and he's dedicated, and that's what I like about him.
You get on the phone with Jake before the fight?
I haven't, but I'm gonna hit him up.
That's
And
what's
try to give him some little pointers on.
Ruiz wasn't the only respected voice weighing in. Teddy Atlas also added his perspective in a conversation with pro boxing fans. Atlas acknowledged that Joshua remained the expected winner, but he didn't completely shut the door on the idea that Jake might push the fight further than most people believed possible. He highlighted Joshua's unpredictability since the Dubois loss, explaining that no one truly knew where Joshua stood mentally or physically after being stopped so brutally and then spending long stretches away from competition. Atlas emphasized that Jake was younger, active, and mobile, and that he had enough skill to survive stretches of the fight if he stayed disciplined.
The former heavyweight champ is supposed to go and win by knockout. I understand all that, what people are thinking. But I tell you one thing. With all that, Joshua has been inactive. Joshua was destroyed in his last fight. I know it was against a fighter, a top fighter, not against a guy that's been fighting a couple years and has had very little background. I understand all. Teddy understands that. I just break it down, all of it. And with having said that, Joshua has been inactive. We don't know where he is mentally. We don't know where he is physically. He's been gone for over a year. We don't know. We know he's coming off a bad loss. We understand that in his last fight. And so we don't know where he's at. But we know Paul's young. We know that he's got legs. He's got a jab. Who says he can't get in there for 8 rounds and motorcycle around? And you know, what is winning for him at this point? Going and knocking out Joshua, which would be unbelievable and unlikely, or doing something no one expects, taking on this challenge. He's already got everyone's attention, taking on this challenge, and then going in there and going the distance. Maybe, you know, in a way that no one thought he could.
Atlas spoke about the possibility of Jake lasting the full distance, especially since the fight was scheduled for 8 rounds. He felt that even surviving the bout without being knocked out could become its own kind of victory for Jake, considering how outrageous the matchmaking already appeared to most observers. Whether or not Jake had any chance to win outright, Atlas believed Jake had been too smart with his career choices to blindly walk into something he thought was unwinnable. Because of that, Atlas refused to completely dismiss it.
But it's hard to completely just dismiss this guy at this point, Jake Paul, because he's picked his spots. He has been awfully smart, and I don't know that he would make that huge a mistake, which it seems like he did. But I am not counting him out. I'm not, because everything I laid out there, because I look at everything. And, you know, like I said, with the Tyson thing, Tyson was 30 years older, 40 years old. I don't know what the hell he was, but he was much older. It was, it was a circus, but people still thought Tyson would win. And then the way it looked, who knows if there was a agreement? I don't know. I don't know what it was, or was it? It sure looked like at the end it was Paul that was holding back. I mean, it's sure, you can't deny that. And so I don't know what it was or wasn't. I don't pretend to know. But I know that Paul deserves credit for what he's built, what he's done, and he hasn't hurt the sport. He's brought attention to the sport.
As the event grew closer, the noise around Jake's decision reached an entirely different level once Joe Rogan chimed in. Rogan, who had watched Jake's rise from YouTube personality to legitimate draw in the combat sports world, was shocked that Jake had agreed to face Joshua under real professional rules. Rogan reminded everyone that Jake had just shared the ring with a 58-year-old Mike Tyson in a bout that looked more like a careful sparring session than a violent showdown. The idea of jumping from that to one of the most dangerous knockout punchers in the heavyweight division seemed to Rogan almost unbelievable. He expressed major concern about Jake's safety and insisted that Joshua, unlike Tyson, would not hold anything back. Joshua had too much at stake, especially with the possibility of future massive fights on the horizon. Rogan dismissed all the fight-fixing conspiracy talk that Jake had been dealing with, insisting that Joshua would never risk throwing a fight intentionally.
Realistically, it's one of the craziest propositions of all time. You take a guy who just had a boxing match that looks like a sparring match with a 58-year-old Mike Tyson, and then you're going to fight one of the absolute scariest knockout artists in the heavyweight division. Maybe we should watch the Francis Ngannou fight so you could see. Let's watch that real quick, just so you can see what Anthony Joshua is capable if he's fighting someone that's not in his league. Okay, look, Usyk beat him, and he beat him twice, and Andy Ruiz caught him in the first fight and dropped him and stopped him. It was spectacular. Andy Ruiz is super fucking talented. Usyk is perhaps the greatest heavyweight boxer of all time. Maybe one of the greatest of all time in any weight class. Usyk. You know, and Usyk beat him, and he beat him twice. The chance that Anthony Joshua is not going to just lose the weight beforehand. He's not going to come in drained. What he's going to do is just do extra cardio, and that's just going to make him more dangerous. He's going to be terrifying, and he's going to have a lot to prove. He's going to be very angry that Jake Paul wants to fight him. Very upset that this YouTuber who's fought Tommy Fury, who's a legit boxer, and, you know, a couple other guys that were legit boxers. That's it. Like, everyone else he's fought is Dan Askren, who's really a wrestler. You know, he fought Tyron Woodley, who was an elite MMA fighter, but, you know, not an elite boxer. He fought Nate Robinson, who was a basketball player. At least he's fought these guys. He fought Anderson Silva, and he dropped Anderson Silva. And Anderson Silva was a really good striker, but also in his 40s, you know, different time. It's, you know, not the same guy he used to be. This is a 34-year-old Anthony Joshua. This is a terrifying human being.
Rogan reflected on the sheer variety of opponents Jake had shared the ring with. Aging MMA fighters, a retired basketball player, and legends who were all well past their primes. He acknowledged that Jake had scored wins against recognizable names, but he stressed that none of them resembled the challenge Joshua posed. Joshua wasn't slowing down due to age, wasn't a crossover athlete, and wasn't navigating a decline. He was a full-size heavyweight who had knocked out legitimate world-level competition. Rogan pointed to Joshua's knockouts, especially his highlight reel finish over Francis Ngannou, as reminders of just how big the gap could be between Jake and the kind of elite fighters Joshua had battled.
This is a giant Olympic gold medalist heavyweight. I mean, Anthony Joshua is
the thing that nightmares are made of.
And he's got that one-punch nuclear power. One punch. And he's fast. It's an like, there's certain guys that, like, in kickboxing couldn't translate over to MMA because they didn't have the kind of speed. Like Peter Aerts is a good example. He was a world-class kickboxer, one of the best of all time, but didn't have the style that would allow him to But then there was Mirko Krokop, who was violently explosive, would perfectly transition to MMA because you got to be able to hit people quick. It was like a big part of it is speed. Anthony Joshua has that kind of speed. That it's a kind of
with
thing
252
like,
pounds.
If you don't have the skill to get away from that kind of power, what happens is Francis Ngannou and Anthony Joshua. You have to be a very. You can't judge that guy based on Dubois, who's a murderer. Daniel Dubois is a tank, and he took out Joshua. But that guy's fucking terrifying. You're staring in front of that guy, but Usyk didn't stand in front of him. Usyk moved all over the place. Joshua's. And he's going to have a lot to prove. He's going to be very angry.
While Rogan's warnings painted a grim picture for Jake, Tyson Fury added a completely different kind of chaos to the conversation. Known for stirring the pot whenever Joshua's name appears, Fury created waves by saying Jake actually had a real chance to win. No one could tell if he genuinely believed it or if he was simply trying to irritate Joshua. This wasn't the first time he joked about backing Jake to win, and even though most people assumed he was messing around, the effect was the same every time.
Do you regret the Joshua fight not happening?
No, I don't. I don't regret anything. Life's too short for regrets.
What do you think of Jake Paul calling him out?
I think it's a good fight. I think it's a real 50-50 fight.
Dave Ellen, on the other hand, reacted in a far more grounded way. He respected Jake's effort, admired his progress, and even believed Jake might one day win a smaller regional title. To him, Jake simply wasn't built for a real heavyweight combat, and Joshua represented a nightmare matchup, and believed Jake was walking into something far more threatening than he realized.
I reckon this kid Jake Paul could win an area title, definitely. I really think he could. He trains hard. I respect all of that. I respect him for what he's doing. Brilliant. You're having a go. Amazing. But he's now fighting arguably a top heavyweight of the last 10, 15 years. One, it's dangerous. We're talking like it's a real fight. The whole thing I've been doing right now is based on it's a real fight. They're both going to try and flatten each other. It's dangerous. He's not a heavyweight. He's a cruiserweight. If that. Turned pro at 13-2. And he wasn't a kid, he was 23 years of age. He wasn't a kid, he's not grown into heavyweight. He boxed Julio Cesar Chavez 5 months ago at 14-3. Might cut a bit of weight, might come down from 15 stone, but it's dangerous, really. It's dangerous, very dangerous, because if Anthony Joshua hits him on the chin, he will put him to sleep. He will hurt him, and he could really hurt him, because Mike Tyson in his late 50s, all his MMA fighters, Chavez shot to bits. When Anthony Joshua hits him, he'll have the shock of his fucking life. He's not naturally big enough, for one. 2, he isn't good enough.
Ryan Garcia echoed those concerns but framed them differently. He didn't think Jake merely picked a tough opponent, he thought Jake had picked the worst possible one. Garcia imagined Jake stepping into the ring full of confidence only to immediately feel the overwhelming difference between fighting influencers, older athletes, or retired champions and fighting a massive tested heavyweight who had been in the ring with some of the best fighters in the world. Garcia said that even winning a few exchanges or looking competitive for a short moment would be an accomplishment for Jake.
If he could win 1 or 2 rounds, to me that's a W, you know what I mean? So this fight is probably the worst fight that Jake Paul could have taken. Out of all the fights he probably had a choice, you know, myself, who else did they say? I forgot. The other guy, you know what I mean? That's worse. This is a big dude, heavyweight. Like, how you go from 135 to 225? Like, you know, it's gonna be difficult, but
why do you think he takes it, Ryan?
He's just addicted to doing huge fights. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, he has so many options. He's always looking for the guy that can make the most noise. You know, all his picks that he's fought in the pros has been guys that have some name, whether they're UFC fighters, NBA players. You know, you want Gervonta Davis. He's small, so I know I could beat him. He's probably thinking Anthony Joshua. He gets, you know, maybe his chin is suspect. Maybe he's not even thinking about me. So I'm gonna come in and somehow hit him with my right hand because he believes that his right hand is as strong as Wilder's. You know, the way he talks, like my right hand is like this. So I think he's seen Dubai. I can't say his name. Dubois.
Yeah.
That's what he's thinking.
Drop his with the right hand. Oh, I could do that. Like that's my shot. You know what I mean?
What about respect though? I think Jake Paul's at a point where he wants respect. Because I do think he's better than what people think he is. Right? Now, okay, now the stage is set. If he goes out there and battles with Anthony Joshua, we got to give Jake Paul 100%. Way more respect than we do now.
You know what
That's
Muhammad...
the victory. Just taking the fight. If he actually steps into the ring with Anthony Joshua, that's a victory.
That's big.
Tony Bellew responded similarly. He couldn't picture any realistic scenario where Jake kept the fight competitive for long. Bellew broke it down by pointing to this gap in size, strength, and overall experience and felt that if the match truly followed professional standards, Joshua would be in total control from start to finish. To Bellew, imagining Jake trading punches evenly with Joshua felt closer to a comedy sketch than an actual sporting possibility.
What happens when, I think we both know, but for the sake of saying it specifically, if the two of them do collide in the ring,
Josh and Jake.
Yeah.
I don't believe it. I don't believe a single thing until I see him in the ring. I don't believe any. Even if they come together for a press, I don't believe it. I don't genuinely believe he will climb into a boxing ring with 10-ounce gloves on with Anthony Joshua. It won't happen. It can't.
Hypothetically, if it does, how long does it last?
As long as Josh wants it to. Simple as that. As long as he wants it to. The same way it did with Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor. The same way it did with Anthony Joshua and Francis Ngannou.
John Fury weighed in as well, but he focused less on Jake and more on how Joshua should approach the fight. He believed Joshua needed to be aggressive from the opening bell. Anything less in his mind would make people question whether the event was authentic. John felt that with Joshua's strength and experience, the match shouldn't last long unless something strange was happening behind the scenes. He viewed the entire fight as entertainment more than a true meeting between two athletes on equal levels, and expected Joshua to overwhelm Jake quickly if he fought naturally.
You know, I wish Anthony all the best of luck. But Anthony, listen to me. Don't take a dive with this Jake Paul, mate. Do not do that, not for $1 billion, my pal. Don't do it. Don't do as the others have done. Do not take dives. If he fights, you knock him dead as a nit, and good luck with it.
Tyson says he's going to bet £1 million on Jake Paul knocking out Joshua.
This is what I'm saying. How does that work?
He can't, can he?
Anthony Joshua could knock Jake Paul out with his dick. So if it goes any other way, you know,
You give me a headline there, by the way.
If it goes any other way, you know it's fucking fixed, don't you? Enough said. Enough said.
As all these voices collided, Ruiz offering tactical support, Atlas keeping an open mind, Rogan sounding alarms, Fury stirring chaos, Ellen expressing worry, Garcia highlighting the skill gap, John Fury questioning the entire purpose of the event, the matchup grew more bizarre, unpredictable, and attention-grabbing. Whether fans expected a shocking upset, a violent finish, or simply a spectacle, the fight had already achieved something rare. It had the entire boxing world watching, arguing, and wondering how a YouTuber turned boxer had managed once again to place himself in the center of a global sports conversation.